Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This video is going to be about my experience in the blue phase at RSP. So this is like the third time I've tried to make this video and I'm getting really tired of it. But RSP is a recruit sustainment program and I was in the blue phase, so it's my last drill before I leave for basic. So I'm going to have to go over like my last minute paperwork, make sure I haven't been arrested lately or gotten a new tattoo since I enlisted. I have to take my PT test and do a little bit more white phase, just learning some more basic Army stuff. So that is what I did on like the first weekend in December. So I showed up to the armory at like 7:30 Saturday morning in my PT stuff, and they broke it with, like, as their information, they broke us into the different phases that we were going to be in. So like the blue phase and white phase and all the other phases went over here to do their PT test. Red phase went over here to do their OPAT test and do like their beginning packets and stuff. There were 9 of us who had to take our PT test, so that means like there were like 10 people who were taking their OPAT. But anyway, 9 of us, we rode in like a little van thing and went over to this, I don't know if it was a school or what, but they had a football field and like at the stadium with the track around it, and they had a couple other like baseball fields and stuff. It was really nice. Anyway, we had to take our PT test, and if you don't know what a PT test is, you should probably look into it and start training for it. It's 2 minutes of sit-ups, 2 minutes of push-ups, and then you have to do a 2-mile run as fast as you can. And it's going to depend, I mean, so obviously do the best that you can out of it, but how many you have to do is going to be determined by how old you are and what your gender is. So obviously, females don't have to do as many push-ups or sit-ups as guys. And the older you get, the less you have to do. And since I'm over 21, my number was actually kind of low. So they break us into 3 groups, and it was 3 groups of 3. We had an NCO watching us so they could like grade us, make sure that we were like passing and everything. And I've done push-ups, I've done sit-ups, but I've never been like Army trained, because if you don't do it the Army way, you get disqualified, and that is not good when you need to pass your PT test in order to go to basic. So I had to go first, so I couldn't watch anybody do it, and so I knocked out I think like 27 of them, and then like muscle exhaustion, I had like a complete mental break. Like I couldn't do any more, which was fine. I only needed 11 to pass. And I did a lot more than that, so it was really good. I got like a really good check mark on my push-ups, but I wasn't happy with myself. I feel like I should have done a lot more than that. And then we had to do sit-ups, and of course I once again had to go first. Same situation. I don't know what I'm doing. So I kicked out almost 50 sit-ups, and I wasn't proud of it, but at the same time I was proud of it because that was my first PT test. And I'm looking to my right, maybe I don't know, whichever way for y'all, but I look to my right, and all the guys beside me are just kicking out push-ups and sit-ups, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna be that girl who can't hold her own weight and whatever. Like I don't want to be that girl, but that's what it was turning into. So anyway, we finished the push-ups and sit-ups, and we had to go into our 2-mile run, and Sergeant Perez was like, you are permitted to walk on this, but you better not. Like, if you walk, you will make everyone do 50 burpees per person who walks. And I was like, oh, hell no. Like, that ain't gonna be me. I'm not gonna be the reason that everyone walks, because I can't do that. Like, I cannot, unless something just accidentally happens and I, like, smoke everybody out. Like, I can't be like, oh, yeah, I don't care. Like, if we get smoked out, I did my best. Like, no. Like, if I can control it, we're not gonna get smoked out. So we take off running. I already had in mind that I was going to be like the last person running. No, that's not true at all. We take off running, and I end up being like at the front of this group of 9 guys, because I'm the only female there. I am like almost in the front, and I'm like, this is not right at all. Like I have those short, fat muscles. Like, I don't have long, lean muscles, and they don't go anywhere fast. Like, I'm not made to be a runner. And I was beating everybody, so that ended up not being good in the long run, because I, in fact, did beat everyone. And I passed my PT test. I made my time in, like, 18:04, which was still kind of slow, and I feel like I'll pick it up. But I had no idea what I was going, how fast I needed to pace it. So it was fine for me. I passed. It's the guys who were younger than me who I physically beat to the finish line that we got in so much trouble for. So we get back, shower, we broke back into our phases. So I went with blue phase. I think there was like 5 of us. We had to do that last minute paperwork that I said. No tattoos, no jail time, no tickets, blah, blah, blah. When we got through with that, we went and met up with white phase, like in their classroom, ate lunch, did couple of PowerPoints. White phase was different this drill. They had to actually do some learning instead of like their typical white phase stuff. We had to go over like PowerPoints, and it was like this mandatory thing. But by the time we got through with that, it was like 3:30, so we got to go home. Sunday, I got to the armory about 7:30 again, and we didn't do formation outside. We went inside and like sat down in Sergeant Paredes, who we knew we were going to get our asses handed to us because, one, he'd already told us we were going to do a lot of PT Sunday anyway, but we also had a bunch of burpees that we had to do because all those jackasses felt like walking during the PT test. He was sitting there and he's like, y'all, we're going to do things different. I don't feel good today, but if y'all want to work out, like, we will. So how many of y'all want to work out? And like, hello, like, you have to say yeah. You can't say no to your NCO. So we were like, yeah, like, we all want to work out. And he was like, okay, well, since y'all want to kick my ass, I'm going to kick your ass. And that means that we had to run for 40 minutes straight. Not a big deal. I do it all the time. Like, that's everyday running for me. Like, not a big deal. At my pace is a lot different than his pace. 40 minutes of running is 4 miles. And I don't know if you know this, but running on the road's a lot different from running on a treadmill. So we kicked out 4 miles in 40 minutes. And I mean, that doesn't sound like a lot, but it really is. Like, a 10-minute mile is not a big deal when you're doing like 1. It's when you're doing 4 that it's a lot. So anyway, we had to stay in formation, and Sergeant Paredes, he was running with us. Like, he is not one of those NCOs that just yells at you and tells you to do stuff. Like, he was running with us. He led the pack. And I actually stayed in formation like the whole time. I've like felt like dying several times, but I never stopped to walk. Like, I stayed in formation the whole time. We had a van following us, so like if people were actually on the side of the road dying, they could get in the van. And it was also following us because we were running down the side of the road, and they didn't want us to get run over. So once we got back from our 4-mile trip, you don't stop when you get to the armory. Like, you don't stop when you get to the parking lot. You have to run through the parking lot, grab your bottles of water, run back over here across the parking lot, get in formation, and then you get to take a break. So the quicker you got to do that, the quicker you got to like stop. And y'all, I was pushing my limits at that time. Like, it was 70 something degrees in December when we did this. And at that point, I was no longer sweating. Like, I was cold and had like goosebumps. So I knew I was pushing my physical limit, but I got to take a break for like 2 minutes, and like heart rate dropped. I was good to go. Then we had to run to the back of the building and do sprints. And I told y'all, like, my little legs don't go anywhere really fast, and we had to sprint. Whitfield, he broke us into 3 groups. It was the first group of girls, and there was only 4 of us, and then the rest of the group was of guys. 2 other groups were guys, and so we had to race, and we sprinted back and forth as a race. Well, if you made it, like, if you won the race, you got to sit out the race back. So Whitfield won. She barely won, but I'm gonna give it to her. But all I'm gonna say is she weighs 119 pounds. She got a lot less wind resistance than I do. But I'm just kidding. No, she won fair and square, so she got to sit out on the race back. And so then I won that race, and we literally just alternated races. And these 2 girls, these poor girls, they died like 4 times while we were doing the 4-mile run. And then they had to come back here and do sprints and didn't get to take a break at all. So I felt really bad for them. But hey, like, I got to take a break, so like, whatever. We did lunges. Lunges were hard. That was the time that I almost threw up. I think it's because my heart rate dropped so fast. But I like pushed through. There was one guy, he wasn't doing so good. He passed like the finish line and literally like muscle exhaustion, like fell on the ground in the middle of his lunge. He had to kind of like be carried away. He ended up getting an IV. Like, while we were all showering and eating and, you know, RSP stuff, he was sitting in the office getting an IV. Like, you don't be that person. Like, start training your body to get used to this kind of stuff, because if you have to have an IV, I can promise you right now they're going to make fun of you. So anyway, we did a couple of more exercises after the lunges, and then got to go in and shower and eat, and we did some white phase stuff. And I had never done white phase before, so I really didn't know what to prepare for. I just knew if I didn't answer the questions right, everyone was going to have to do burpees because of me. And we already had a bunch of burpees to do anyway. But the thing is, like, he knows who knows the answers to these questions. And I'm going to say it again. Sorry, I burped. I'm going to say it again. You need to know when you're going to RSP or when you're heading out to basic, you need to know your soldier's creed, your Army values, the alphabet, and your general orders. Like, you need to know those 4 things before you leave. So that's the question. Like, those are the questions that he asked us. And when you don't know them and you get an answer wrong, that's like 50 burpees that the entire classroom has to do. And so once again, I'm not going to be the reason we have to do that. And he knows who knows the answers. So he's like, obviously isn't going to call on you. He's going to call on the people who don't know the answers. So everyone has to do burpees, and it really sucks. That's all I have for you guys. I really enjoyed RSP. It's fun. You learn a lot. It's what you make it. So, like, don't suck it up. Don't miss it, because one, you can become friends with these people. You get to, like, learn their experiences when they're at basic, if they leave before you do. You want to like, this is your family now, so you need to appreciate it. You need to love it. When they tell you to learn something, learn it. When they tell you to train for something, train for it. Like, they're preparing you to go into the Army. So, like, just do what they say. That's all I've got for you guys. See ya!